Hello, I made it. Sorry, everybody. Right. There we go. Very rare this happens. And it was because I left my watch on charge, so it didn't get me up. Right, so thanks for hanging round. I made it. Coffee's really strong. So morning, Sean, Z, Tanmay, Des, hey. So I thought yesterday's session went quite well on all of it, the splurge. So I did my wins, problems, and opportunities. Let's have a look at them. If I can read my very bad writing. You only have to be, yeah, that's really bad, isn't it? But I did scroll it very quickly. So always start with the wins. So getting closer to my sound. New guitar synth sounds great. And I managed to do a continuous performance. So actually there was a lot in that, the continuous performance, because I managed not to forget and just stop the whole thing where I was. And, because sometimes I get mixed up between, I'm sitting in here still, I'm doing a performance, but sometimes you just completely forget what you're doing and just stop the thing and then work on it like a track. But I managed to kind of keep it going, and I managed to kind of get over the bit where you're just kind of setting up the next thing and you're trying to wing it. So I thought that was quite good. I mean, obviously, it's a start. Problems. Here's quite an interesting one. Playing off the minor sixth. There was, I don't know why I do this, right? But I'll just go for that note. It's just like I'll just dream off and then I'll land on it, and it's like the worst note you could possibly play. But I'm really good at playing it. I mean, sometimes it works fine. But I'm an expert at playing it when I don't want to play it and in the worst possible place. So there we go. So it led me down an interesting path yesterday, because immediately I was thinking about this. Playing scales with no minor sixth. Has anybody else been down this minor sixth troublesome route? Or is it just me? So, yeah, I've got the noise gates doing stuff, and there's a bit of noise there. So yeah, the minor six. But I do remember the Paul Gilbert first rock video and him actually doing this scale. I never really knew what the inspiration was, but then I did. Don't know if anybody's seen that one before, but it's just basically, it's a minor sixth scale. It's just a minor sixth scale basically, but sorry, it's a natural minor scale, but with no minor sixth. 3 notes per string. So then I spent yesterday just messing about with that idea. So there was things like oops. But it's quite tricky to do, to remember, and then there's just improvising and just missing the thing out. So there, put it in. So I suppose, in conclusion, the easiest way to think of this is actually just to miss out the friggin' -6, isn't it? And to go about your normal day's business. But I will bring back that 3-octave scale for runs and things, I think. Right, levels are not balanced, so the levels were pretty bad. I mean, that's not a major problem because you just balance them. But the bass was flabby. The clean bass was flabby, which I do. That was pretty bad. I mean, I'll come to that. So the opportunities were to invent scales, removing the -6, which we've looked at. So that's quite tricky. And then, sorry, I was just reading your question there, Tanmay. So balance tracks levels, check kick length. So yes, so the kick, because I'm swapping samples all the time, I need some way of standardizing the actual length of the kick drum, because sometimes they're just too long. And it just creates havoc with the low end. So I've had a thought about what we can do there. So the solution for that was to, yes, shorten the kick. There are a number of ways we can do this, but I thought the best way to do it, so when you're flicking through presets, right, you're not changing the length all the time for that kick drum. We've got a way of actually just doing it on the channel, and that is to use Shaper Box. Potentially more sidechain to use on the bass. That's just a bit of a sticky plaster over a hole. But actually with that bass, what will happen is that bass will never stand up to actually something that's going to be releasable. And I'm talking about quality here for once. It's great for just writing parts, right? Because I can just splurge it out, and it really, like, a lot of this template is to do with those kind of things, are to do with the splurge mentality. Certainly that bass is. So anything to do with this low end, pretty much, is going to get the treatment of a real bass, and that real bass will be groove bass, which isn't a real bass. It's a real bass that's actually, you know, you can play on your keyboard, but it sounds amazing. And I think that for the type of bass lines I do, it'll probably be all right. The only reason I don't use it now is A, it's not very spontaneous, and B, there's a little bit of a curve to learning how to use it in terms of programming articulations in, but it is very good. The bass player out of Pliny developed it. And then the other thing is just when I'm playing, as it's a live thing, get used to, I'm going to have to get a bigger one of these, is actually just get used to flipping camera angles. I mean, some people will want to see that, but you know, if I'm doing a solo, we want to have a zoom in, don't we? So it's kind of getting used to that bit. There we go. And actually, using this wasn't too bad to trigger stuff. I prefer it on my feet, but there was times I was just hovering, going, "Is it now? Is it now?" And I could have just done that on my foot. I could have just been playing and punched in on that channel. So I need a way to kind of select the channel and then be able to punch in with feet. But I'll have a look into that. So there we go. And as I was thinking about levels and splurging, so I've, you know, when I'm in the car and I'm traveling about during the day, I do like to think of my car as a bit of a library, right? And that's the time when I can listen to interesting audio books about me, all about music, and various other things. But I've been listening to a few mixing things, right? And which I get interested in now and then. And I just happened to stumble upon artificial intelligence and mixing, and it seems very, very fascinating. I think some people who mix, who master in particular, potentially are getting a little bit worried now, because basically the algorithms, it's AI, it's learning, isn't it? So I thought I should try this out. Okay, so when I got home, I do have Ozone 9, and I just upgraded it because I got it on Splice ages ago and paid it off. And I thought, oh well, there was a guy talking about it was Spectre Sound Studios, and he mentioned AI, and he just suggested, like he's been Ozone 10. In fact, he's showing you Ozone 10, and he was saying that, like, basically it's like it does a great master, and it does. And so I came home, and well, this is the interesting, because I think we need to have a look at the process of production. This is the way I'm thinking, I think if we're playing instrument, I mean, the last thing surely to be replaced, right? Okay, it's going to be emotion. But anything that's just the bread and butter, setting up a project for mixing and doing the initial kind of removing unwanted noise, right? That can all be assisted, can't it? Basically, like, artificial intelligence could do that, couldn't it? But anyway, so I tried Ozone 10 out. I'm probably rambling a bit here because I'm waking up. I tried Ozone 10 out, and I have tried other various mastering tools, and it was really good. And I was really surprised. I thought, like, this update, the algorithm in it is sounding good, because the track we were doing yesterday, I put that through, which is like pretty bad. Yes, so I did it, got it to do a master, and it kind of fixed a lot of things in there. It wasn't brilliant, but what it actually achieved was beyond what I could do in a master, and I can do a bit of mastering. So I thought that was really good. So, and it, like, for the mastering, it's like an interesting time. For mixing, different, because I mean, there is, in 10 years from now, there will be zero effort required to produce music, I think. Mixing music, definitely. But I don't think they'll be able to make or create, because what we're going to do, right, what it's going to do is it's going to focus people on the emotion, isn't it? And we're only going to focus in on what I would consider to be the most important part of music, isn't it? So that's how I think. So that's where I'm thinking about focusing. So if I was ever thinking of taking a little kind of rest from guitar again, I don't think that's going to happen now. It's weird, because it's almost technology pushes the human back in time in a way, doesn't it? It's pushing me back. Yeah, it's $250. That's for the standard. But when you're on Splice, you can pay it off like so much a month. So I just kind of got it, didn't use it, and forgot I was paying for it, and then I ended up owning it. And then I thought, all right, okay, well, I'll try it. But it's got an interesting deal. You can get that, and you can get Neutron 4. Now I've looked at Neutron 3 briefly, and then I thought, oh, fuck this, can't be arsed for this shit. I want to be in control. But now it's got me thinking. Because I need time. We all everybody's number one problem, and one of our main skills is actually focusing on how we use time. How do you practice your guitar? How do you become an engineer? How do you become a mastering engineer? Well, I can get rid of those two things potentially. Now I've got time again. And I can focus in completely on playing and stuff that requires emotion and being unique. And if there was ever a time, right, to start focusing in on learning a system, I hate the word system, like the machine that I run, where it protects you from kind of rabbit hole nonsense of quality, i.e. the mixing mastering thing, to a point, there's never been a time more appropriate, because it is coming. AI is on its way, and we need to be its master, and certainly that's what I intend on doing. No, we're not going to procrastinate, Tanmi. That's not allowed. Should be against the law. It's an awful word, procrastination, isn't it? Oh, it's like it's not even a thing. It's like just stop it. We're completely in control of it. The word shouldn't exist. I'd read everybody the last page of War of Art. I might start one of my live shows with that. Everybody would go away. I'll get it. I'll read the last page of War of Art, and by Stephen Pressfield. Not that it would ruin the book. And it would just be like, I've done that before to a group. Everybody would just, okay, I'm gonna do a music. I'll do some music. Right, so yes, artificial intelligence mastering seems good. And of course, you got to be the boss of all of this, haven't we? So there's always an element in AI where you can just adjust things. It can set it up, right? And you can adjust things. So anyway, that was the ozone mastering. But now we have Neutron 4 now. So Neutron 4 is interesting. For a start, right, the downside of it puts loads of latency on your project. But does that matter? Probably not, because you're just going to have to think about a different template at the end of your session that you move everything into, or you just start dropping this thing. You just drop this mix tool on individual channels, right? But basically what it does, right, okay, is it just starts like mixing your track for you. It's amazing. But it does crosstalk across the channels. And I do use that kind of crosstalk channel like stuff actually in this, because not this template but my other one, the Slate Virtual Console, that does like this kind of bleed across the channels, where it's introducing saturation, but you can control everything from one module. This is very similar, but we've got the artificial intelligence. So for example, when it's mixing the drums, it's listening to your bass, right? And then it's multi-band sidechaining your bass with your drums. Okay, so it's like kind of doing that dynamic EQ. I mean, like, I wouldn't have to do that. It's mad, isn't it? Like, just remove everything and then just set that away, and then that would be it. And then all I would have to do is make choices. In fact, I wouldn't even have to make choices, because the track would be produced, wouldn't it? I'll have picked all the reverbs, and all of the creative side would have been done. So this is interesting, because like one of the exercises we actually do in the machine, so there's a mixing bit. No, because you would spend your time. It wouldn't make you. Well, this is the good. This is the. Wouldn't that make us lazy? That's a brilliant question. Would it make you lazy, Tanmay? Imagine, right? You're waking up, right, and you've made it, okay, and you've decided, right? You know what? Like, I'm not doing that engineering thing. I sit there. It's like an office job, right? I want to be playing. I'm going to pay for an engineer to do that job because I think I'd be better focused in on writing. It's not going to make you lazy. You're going to write and you're going to discover more and you're going to practice more, aren't you? And you're going to focus more on the creative production side. So it's really interesting. I mean, I'm thrashing this out in my head, okay, of like how this is going to play out. But like a number of things have come up on my radar, and like one of them is like these artificial. I can't remember what the websites are, but like in the group of coaches that I'm in, so I get trained like every like Wednesday night. I would turn up for training, and this is like one of the things we were discussing was artificial intelligence, and like our trainer Mike, he was like showing us this stuff, and you can go on, right. If I was a rapper, okay, for example, I can go on and just get an artificially produced rap tune. It'll have like thumping 808s, little kind of like melody thing, a bit of a background thing, okay? And then that's it. And that's all you need, and you could rap on it. And I think like for some of that music, because it's so formulated, like a lot of EDM music, right? You can get it to a point, and then you stick the person on the top. And that's that kind of, but we need more than that, we want to do more than that. So actually that's an extreme version, but just giving up part of those tasks, like for the engineering and the mastering, saves you a load of time, doesn't it? To spend more on the front end of what you're doing. I hope this is making sense because it's very, very interesting and it's something that we definitely all need to be thinking about and keeping an eye on. And then what it's going to make you think about is, okay, then, so on the emotion, creative, unique identity, okay? Because if it's like a Venn diagram, there's definitely a crossover, okay? Which I think maybe Tanmay may have pointed out. There's definitely a crossover where it's everything's in that one point, isn't it? The kind of creative, emotional production kind of thing that only a human being can do. But there's a big lump, right, that AI could do. And it's just a question of being the boss of that. Do you know what? This is just a mad conversation. I feel like Sarah Connor off Terminator. The machines are coming. You don't understand. Weak men create bad times. But, well, that's interesting. But what if we're stronger in other areas? Because what I would say is the wheel was a technological advancement, wasn't it? So that technically made men weaker, but it also made us stronger. Because we're the boss of the wheel, aren't we? So that's what I'm thinking about. Could you imagine if we didn't have the wheel? We would be stronger. I wouldn't care. I can hear it like this project's picking up like my voice, and it's kind of got this distorted delay in the background, which is making it sound even more like George Orwell 1984. Hear that? So all I'm saying is, yes, you're right. Potentially you can become weaker. If you're somebody, like, you're not playing an instrument, you're not like kind of emotion, you're not got something that's like going straight from your heart and your brain into something that's a metaphor for how you're feeling and is a genuine representation. If you haven't got that and you're living your life through a machine that's becoming your boss, right? Then I think you're in trouble. So there was a great documentary on, I remember on BBC years ago, about when I had a television, about the about the BBC. This will be when I was doing my masters, actually, because I was really interested in. There was a composer called Delilah Derbyshire. She was an Cambridge graduate mathematician, and she ended up composing music for the BBC in this radiophonic experimental workshop that they had. And actually, she did the Doctor Who theme. And they were all using like tape machines, but they're using state-of-the-art stuff. But at the end of the day, one of the guys that they interviewed off that, sadly, Delilah Derbyshire isn't with us anymore, but an amazing composer. You should check her stuff out for the time in the 50s, 60s. Incredible. But this guy just said, the point where, it wasn't these exact words, but, when you're in trouble, right, is when you stop making the decisions, right, and you allow technology to make the decision for you. That's when it goes wrong. When we start going, right, well, I'm going to use this preset drum kit because that's like sounds, and not experiment and not moving things about. When things start making a decision, I mean, that was a crap example. When things start making a decision for you, that's not what we want. Okay? But if something's doing a job for you, a simple job, like, me going along these channel EQs and balancing everything out, and, something else could do that, and then you can come along, like the boss, and then just tweak a few things. That's all right, isn't it? We can always go back to this. We do, and we're going beyond that. We have got that, But AI will take these great engineers' brains, and they'll put them in a box, and some of that decision making can be done. $25, yeah. So I'm not sure how people feel about that. I'm quite excited because what it's doing is it's making me think of what my role is going to be. I mean, obviously, I'll still be making music. People will always want to play an instrument. But it'll come down to the doing, the playing, the emotional expression. That's the thing. That'll become, in a way, when I think about it, surely, the people who are playing instruments are actually going to become higher value. Because it's going to become rarer. Wouldn't you think? I mean, if you're the only provider of something and people want it, then it's gonna get more expensive. Yeah. Less jobs, but jobs could go elsewhere. Maybe the wealth can be spread out more. That's another thing. But let's not worry about the politics too much about this, right? Let's just think of this as a good problem. Okay? Think of it like a good creative problem to solve, because I think there's a lot of mileage in this and I'm excited about it rather than, oh God, it's the devil's work. People are going to get replaced, right? It just means like we always have had to, we're going to have to learn to adapt. Okay? And either way, we're going to end up building skills that we want. Why build up skills that you don't want? Let a machine do it. As long as it doesn't start arguing with me, I'm fine. That's when we're in trouble. So very good. So talking about artificial intelligence, so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to have a quick look at that track, right? And this is more like a template sort of improvement thing today. So that was a really good chat. That I've got 25 minutes, right? And what I need to do is I just need to do a review on this template, and then I'm going to try and give it a run before I go to work, but it probably won't be on the live. It just needs to do what it needs to do. But good morning, Arats. I didn't see you there. I don't think I said good morning. But good to see you on the live. Right, here we go. In the office again. So let's have a look at these channels, because what I was doing, I was messing with gain staging, because I realised that actually I'm in the channels faffing on with gain staging. So actually it's highlighted other things that I'm doing that waste time by doing this kind of live looping scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everything off for now, and I'm just going to go through it, and I think we're going to have to add a little bit of gain staging. So let's have a look at what these channels are doing. So what I'm going to do is, I think it was mainly on the guitars, right? So in fact, we can leave the drums. We'll leave the drums for now, till that becomes a problem. So all we're doing is just trying to get some levels up here, because we're going to use this. I'm not going in for a mix or anything like that, but we are going to use this for okay. So there we have it. Right, that's all slamming nice. And then we get to the bass. So as long as I'm not peaking on the actual plugin itself, because there are a couple of things that oh wait, hold on. I was on the wrong thing there. Right. That wants to be off. Okay. Right, bass. So let's find the best possible way for the side chaining here. At the moment, I decided to flip it to just the kick, and I'm not really sure if that was the best idea. So I'm going to go back to OX. And I think that's probably a bit healthier. So basically, the whole drums are going into that side chain. And what I've done is, because I'm lazy, rather than having two of them, I've done one. I mean, you could have one separate. But what I've done is I've just used a filter to take away the high end. So this is only responding to the lower transient of the kick, really, and the lower transient of the snare drum, which you can see here. Because yesterday were kind of the drums were lost, so that's quite good there. A little bit. So the gain staging is what I didn't want to do was run really hot into the plugins. So if we're not peaking here, we're all right. But this is where it's going to build up. So if I start doing boosts here, there's not much headroom. And then we're going to go into distortion, so that's why I've put that back in. For live, I just need a graphical representation of faders for this. So I just need to look at that mix console and be able to just move things and not go in here fiddling with stuff. Alright, what was next? I'm just putting a gentle roll off on this guitar, just on the Ableton EQ. Again, this is for live purposes. I'm using the Ableton EQ. Why? Because basically I can see. Just check the chart. Cable, sustain pedal. All right. No, I don't really have any tips on that on the MIDI pedal. You would need to get some MIDI map for it. Right. Okay. See, a robot could have done that. Like, artificial intelligence, right, could listen to this, couldn't it? It could go, alright. That's just like nonsense and masking lower frequencies, because it would look at all the channels, wouldn't it? And see what the clashes are. I wouldn't have to do that. I'm just, it's a simple instruction I could give to an engineer who didn't know anything, but if they could work the tools. And they go, all right, Tim, yeah, I can do that for you. And just do that across all the channels in a second. How much time is that going to save? And then I can come along and I can just go, all right, but I'm not sure about your level there, so I'll just, I want it there. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So I'm going to pretend I'm artificial intelligence here. So what I'm doing here is I'm mixing like this is a live band, really. Weird, isn't it? Totally different dynamic. Okay, hold on. Alright, we've got the octave wild. I need to make sure I'm putting the gain staging in. So one thing we can do though is we can just mess with the reverbs. A little clean up there is good. Where are we? We're on this section, aren't we? So it's a little thumpy down in the low. There you go. A little bit more. Take away the lows, add a little bit of air. These are just like elaborate, like high cut and low pass filters, really. But there's a little curve thing going on there that sounds quite pleasing. That's much better than sort of using this. An interesting thing is when you're EQing guitars, when you're boosting and removing mids and doing that kind of stuff, a lot of the time it's better to go to the source and start messing with cabs and things like that. So it would make, if things aren't kind of gelling together, you know, it would make more sense to kind of go to the clean the clean speakers and pick one that's got more of the cue that you want. So the frequencies, content that you want. See, that's quite... So if you listen to it in the mix... See, that's got more push, hasn't it? So it saved a lot of effort there that I would do with an EQ, just by getting the cab. And that way you get, like, if you know, especially if you're using like not the greatest like digital EQ and you're going to start boosting and what have you, you are going to get like some kind of digital aliasing, which is fine on one channel. But when you start accumulating across channels, and that's when things can start sounding a bit crap. So we're up to the lead. So I'm just going to go back to my original one. I'm going to have more ducking but more delay. There we go. More of a cut on the bass of the delay. And then we're going to have, what's this again? Spread. And I'm going to widen that delay so it's coming more out, because I'm not using any width. So I'm going to clear out that anything that's in the center on that effect and push it to the sides. Like that. Let's have a look at the reverb. And then what I want to do is I'm just adjusting this so the guitar sounds like it's going to sit up. We'll do this in the mix. I love that way of describing it, something sitting up, because it sounds like lying down. Okay, next bit of this. So we've got so it's just right, we've done that. It's this now. And then we've got this. And then I'm just gonna, this is gonna be the whole kit as well, so. And that's that very handy width button that I've used on the Polychrome plugin. And if you notice that, that's just pushed the lead to the sides a bit, and it's allowed that snare to cut through. So the other thing we've got to ask ourselves, hi Rich, the other thing we've got to ask ourselves here is, like, you know, I'm just thinking, well, if this is a live performance, if I played to go see a band and I'd just walked in late and I'd think that sounds good enough. I'd be happy with that. So at this stage, you could get lost down all kinds of rabbit holes, and what you don't want to be doing is doing things that aren't on your review, okay, on your opportunities, because what doesn't want to happen is you end up starting to fix problems that you haven't got yet. This is only based on problems that are, like, everything I'm doing here is only based on problems that I'm having, good problems, by the way, at the time that I'm doing this work, okay, on the review, if that makes sense. So that's why that is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this as a template. It's just like a bit like setting a very elaborate rehearsal room up, isn't it? And we'll call this live looping unique instrument, right? And we all do that. We all get like new plugins and stuff, and, like, you know. Tell you what I'll do. What are we listening to this on? Oh, good, midfield. So we're in the Archon Studios, very posh, and that's right. So that's that. Now we're going to reboot this and, like, delete all the parts. I'm really pleased with that. How that sound came out. It's great how it's just like does random stuff. Okay, let's open this up again. New. And then I think Octave Wild. I haven't used him in a while, so I'm going to take him out. Because I just don't want the cognitive load. I've put something in there that I think I might use, but I haven't used. So, and actually, for live purposes, I'm probably more likely going to use the lead sound that I've got, and then just use the one on the floor. So that's all looking very healthy now. So what we need to do is I need to delete everything. I'll just get all my little boxes in line. And there it is, and there that is what you do, and then you just rinse and repeat that, and then hopefully, and then the idea is as you do that, you're developing your template, you're developing your sound through the machine, through reviewing, and then hopefully artificial intelligence will come along and just mix your track for you, and we can just enjoy the process of doing all the fun jobs. That's what I hope anyway. I would actually show you Ozone 10, but it's like massive latency. But I think it's worth definitely having a look. That's for sure. And certainly online mastering services that people are fond of using are, you know, the algorithms are getting better. They're updating all the time. It's everybody, you know, as they're uploading tracks and it's mixing them, the machine is learning how to solve these problems, and it's being tweaked on a daily basis. And things are just going to get better and better and better, aren't they? So I think it's something we need to get on board with, and we need to at this stage review what our place is in the world of machines. So it's been a good sort of like discussion we've been having, D-Rich, about artificial intelligence. So everybody, have a think about artificial intelligence, and it would be great to hear your thoughts. Maybe post them in the chat or even email me, because it's something that I want to investigate, and something that I'm definitely reviewing my place. Yes, I like that. But we don't want to be doubling up on the jobs, is what I would say, Rats. Cool. And also, there is a new morning coaching group starting. So anybody who's interested in doing this and possibly finding where they will fit in the world of machines, this could be the way forward. So if you're interested in being coached on making music, then just give me an email and I'll let you know more about it. But there's a second group started, and that's going to run on a Wednesday morning, and I think this may be starting from next week. So it's going to run Wednesday mornings. That's when there's there's a little kind of starter group thing happening on a Wednesday morning, but then it's going to fully run from next month. What's next month? April. So from April, I think it's the 5th. That's when the new group will officially start. But there are places there, and for the price that it really is a steal, to be honest. I got into trouble with how cheap it is. There's a guy on YouTube who wrote software to particularly generate gent music that's always streaming. I'd like to see that. Yeah, that's interesting. But again, this is just reinforces why we need to be unique and why we need to find our sounds. And it doesn't have to be a horrendously complicated thing, does it? And more so is not just inventing a unique sound, but just inventing multiple unique sounds. Anyway, I'll leave you guys thinking about that. So I'm not sure if there's a stream tomorrow. I've got to find out. But if there is, I'll see you tomorrow. If not, we'll be streaming we'll be streaming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday mornings are going to happen now. So there is going to be a morning stream on Saturday. Right, yeah. So basically, not streaming tomorrow, and we are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's good. We get a weekend one. How about that? Okay, guys. I will see you Thursday. Bye.